Welcome back to Beyond the Pump, where today we're going to break down exactly why you need to understand the numbers of your business more. And this is coming from a very real life situation that is literally happening to me this week, where I just don't understand why people don't understand when a business doesn't have profit, they can't actually pay you more money.
And Steve has another acronym, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Comment below what your favorite acronym or framework that Steve has created so far. I would love to just have that on hand. We're going to do a roast at the end of the year, so
Let's not do that.
let us know. It'll be fun. All right, enjoy.
So, like, it's interesting. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday, and you know me, I like my numbers, and I can definitely overcomplicate some shit. But for like 15 years of my career, I'm like, oh, I need to simplify it because it can't be complicated. And I now have a different take on that. It's been evolution, I would say, truly in the past couple of weeks. I think I've even shared it with you offline. But if you're going to be a director running an 8-figure company, I expect you to be capable of doing like a 3-component math problem that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and some division in there. Like I think, like if it's those 4 operators, you should be capable of doing it, especially with the fucking technology that we have available to us today.
No statistics, no growth modeling,
No, not even like we don't even have to worry
predictive
about that.
measures. Oh, okay.
Just like
Bar's real high there.
some basic math that we learned in 4th grade.
Hell.
So there's a client, and I've gone down this road, so you'd be proud of me. I actually created a framework last week, and it's been like 6 weeks since
I was gonna say it's been a while. It's been a while since you had a new acronym.
So I the constraint removal method is it, and that's how I go through putting together org charts, and more specifically their performance pay. And I want leaders in a department to uniquely understand how they can contribute to the company's success, and they also need to understand what specific items they're very responsible for. And it's so common in entrepreneurial world. I'm going to hire you and you're going to do this job, and in my mind it happens, and then I'm sitting there as the owner of the business, like, this person sucks, they don't do their jobs. Like, well, you're a freaking moron. You didn't train them. They have no prior training. They have no idea what's going on. They were just kind of good by showing up every day, and they did a really good job of breathing on the mirror. And that's like the average entrepreneur's level of like, you should take this job. So financial responsibility into business is key. We've talked about this before. You go and you sell. I have a 6-month program. I sell it for $3,000. Oh, I made $3,000. No, you didn't, you fucking asshole. You made $500 this month, and you owe $2,500 a month in services. Sure, there's profitability margins and percentages. So how much of it does it actually cost to run your business? Blah, blah, blah. We can go down a deep dive there. That's not the point of this. They're not paying you again for at least 5-6 months. So you need to make that money last. And that's one of the things that has to happen. On the flip side of that, when you have a team and you hire a team, they have to produce outcomes, and it needs to make sense. You wouldn't hire 100 coaches to service one client. You wouldn't hire 100 coaches to service 100 clients, unless those coaches are getting paid like $10,000 a month and each client's paying $100,000. And like, it's literally like, I'm placing a coach in your house and they're with you 24/7 style shit. But in today's typical world, you're not going to do that. Well, this one person on this team is like, hey, I want to hire more people and facilitate hiring more people. And I'm like, listen, the utilization of that team is at like 20%. And this is not an exaggeration. I think it was literally like 27%. Oh, we're going to hire another person. The math ain't mathing. It doesn't make sense. Okay. Well, I'm not going to sit here and fight and argue. And we're sitting here having conversations, and that happens like 6 weeks ago. It is what it is. We hire the person. Okay, fine. Against my advice. It's not fiscally sound for the business. And now it comes time to determine how much of a bonus and a performance comp this individual would have for the quarter. So we mock it out. Now, keep in mind, I'm not going to use the exact numbers, but I'll give you perspective. Keep in mind that this person has the opportunity to earn an extra $8,000, let's say, per quarter. if they hit their metrics. They have an opportunity to earn like 10 grand if they overperform on their metrics. The baseline metrics for this person would have put them at earning about $7,900. So they were literally at like a 0.99 of their overarching average performance. Pretty good. But there's this weird finicky thing that happens. We can only pay it out when the company is healthy. And we measure company health based upon NOI, net operating income, which is loosely your overall revenue minus your overall expenses equals how much net operating income there is. Well, the multiplier for the net operating income based upon how the performance was, more specifically, how much we spent against our performance, was a 0.05. So for those of you doing quick math, $8,000, literally 0.05 of that is $400. Because we don't know how to be fiscally responsible, this person's performance comp for a quarter, $8,000 went from 8 grand, literally 8 grand. Who doesn't want an extra $8,000 a quarter, to $400? And for 2 days, there's been continued negotiations of trying to not understand why how that doesn't make sense. Are you sure the math is right? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, the net operating income of the company suggests that we should be paying out performance because the company would then go negative, which is obviously not good. And here's my problem, Andrew. I need you to talk me through this, okay? I need you to, like, glasses on, pull out the tissue box, like psychiatrist extraordinaire. I need that to happen, all right?
Well,
Yep.
hello, Stephen.
Okay. Why is it so difficult for somebody to understand that if the business is not generating profit, it can't pay you? Help me understand this, because to me that sounds super like it makes sense, but apparently it doesn't.
I'm taking notes. Hang on. All right. So here's what I got, and I want to show you.
Okay.
Just so everyone knows, this is what psychologists do. We just doodling. What was the question? I was really invested in that drawing.
Like, to me, it feels super obvious. The company didn't produce any profit, or it produced very minimal profit. I'm confused at why they're confused that they don't get a bonus.
It just sounds like a mismatch of expectation and explanation. So, I don't know. They probably didn't understand their compensation plan very well. Could be convoluted. Could be they weren't listening. Probably that. I mean, there's any number of reasons why they wouldn't. Maybe they just have low general mental ability, which could have been screened for in the hiring process, because that is a thing. Some people will actually really struggle to grasp certain concepts. And
LGMA, that damn LGMA will get you every time.
That's right.
That's a t-shirt. That's 100% a t-shirt. LGMA.
What's the L?
Low general mental ability.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, it's not legally defensible in some cases. So now this is why you have a full-time person that's doing these cognitive assessments during hiring, because if they find one that has an adverse hiring impact and there was a better option, that's how you'll lose the lawsuit. And so, it's it's a racket, dude. It's a racket. You can't, they even had a lawsuit where it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get in that rabbit hole. So, yeah, there's just a lack of clarification. And, the person probably wasn't proactive about ensuring that. I would assume that inside of discussing a comp plan, maybe some kind of weekly feedback loop may have been one of the reasons why, but anytime you roll out something new, depending on how long the comp plan's been around, there's always those first couple things and little learning bumps and kind of speed bumps in there. So hard to say, but yeah, I mean, if they don't track that shit weekly and then they're going to be shocked, or, if they don't track it monthly and then they don't hit the quarterly, like there's always going to be like, oh, what happened? Like, yeah, we talk about the numbers. We literally talk about how you get paid more every week. That's what the one-on-ones usually revolve around. How can we help you get paid more? I don't know. Right. Okay. I mean, What's in it for you is a bigger paycheck. Help me help you. This is what we need to do to get you a bigger paycheck. And if they don't know that, then, it depends on, also, you can usually tell how likely people are to succeed by the quality of questions they ask you during the one-on-one. If you're leading their one-on-one and you're their you're like, their supervisor or their boss or whatever, then probably not going to go well if you continue to do that all the time and they're not coming with things that they need help with, because that just means they don't either understand the scope of their work, or, I mean, it also could be that they're really good at it. That's usually not the case, though, especially when they're an external hire and they're trying to integrate into the company. Like, they should be driving those one-on-ones once they're done with their initial onboarding. So
Yeah.
that's my loose thoughts on it. But yeah, they just didn't understand it.
I mean,
Mishire
you're
is what it sounds like to me.
you're not wrong on they just didn't understand it. Like that's obviously clear. And just to explain how this company metric works, so we understand the implication here verbally. At 10, at 10% net operating income, which would mean for every $100 of revenue, you spend $90 to operate your business, which means there's $10 or 10% left over, right? Every $10 you spend 9, you keep 1, whatever level
So
you want that.
real quick, just for the audience, like, sometimes people use NOI and profit kind of interchangeably, right?
NOI, profitability, you might hear some bigger, more important feeling companies call EBITDA, like very general, simplest, like simple today. Profit, right? Like that's the thing. Your actual income that you made from your business above and beyond all the stuff. So 10%. That's the floor. If it's at 10% or under, 10% is effective 0. So if it's under 10%, it's 0. If it's exactly at 10%, it's a 0 multiplier. You don't make your bonus. You don't get the performance pay because the company can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
From 10 to 24, so there's 14 numbers there, it grows incrementally up. I'm trying to
But
oversimplify
actually,
this, bro.
if you believe in imaginary numbers, there's more than that. But
Technically, yes. So for every one whole point, so 10 to 11 is one whole number, you go 0.1 on your multiplier. So 11 is 0.1, 12 is 0.2, 13 is 0.3, 20 is 1.0,
can we use some real
24 is
numbers? I'm already getting
1.4.
lost, and I'm like, and I know the situation. You got to
These
use
are
some
real
concrete
numbers.
numbers. No. I mean, like, so if we have like let's say $100,000 salary, obviously the overperformance. If the company has $100,000 month, what do some of those numbers like actually look like?
If your bonus could be, for simple math, $10,000 in a quarter,
Okay,
and you
so
got a
3,400 a month.
0.1 on that, you would get 10% of your potential bonus. So you'd get 10% of 10,000, which is $1,000.
Okay,
So you get that multiplier, right? And if you got a 0.8, you'd get 80%. So 8,000 would come instead of 10,000. If you got a 1.4, that's over performance for the company and you would actually turn 10,000 into 14,000. So you have the chance to earn more than what your on target earnings is based upon how you perform and how the company performs.
Mm-hmm.
But literally the range is 10 to 24, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 up to 1.4. So it's a 1/10 or 10% for every 1% of profitability the company has over 10%. And it's all on paper. There's pages to read this as
You got
well
a
that
table
tells
in
you
there?
the full thing.
I need a
Like
table right about now.
for sure. I get it. I'm not saying it's the simplest thing in the world, but it certainly isn't the most convoluted. And then the answer was, well, hey, if we're at 10% and 20% is a 1.0, isn't 10% halfway between 0 and 20? And I'm like, yeah, your math is you're spot on. Like, good job. Great job. You solved that math problem. What's halfway between 0 and 20? But that has nothing to do with what we laid out. Our zero out point is at 10. Like that's where it cuts off. That's the start or the stop or the whatever. And
Well, hang on. So on that point, real quick, just for our audience to like understand, there's a reason why the buffer of profitability is 10%. And that's to make sure that, and ideally, that extra surplus above and beyond what the company had to spend to stay open that month would go into a savings account or some kind of interest, or, some kind of something where you could access it later. There's a lot of different vehicles for that. But, what you don't want to do as a business owner is to wake up one day and your business gets cut in half and you have no savings, because that's kind of where you go out of business, right? So the best rule of thumb is that you probably at least put away 10% of your profitability, if not more. Or, you put away whatever, and Steve's more the numbers guy, but you need to put away something, so that way, in a perfect world, you got 3 months of expenses saved up across a given period of time. So that way, you got a parachute if shit gets real bad, that you can then scramble and figure out without having to close your doors basically the next month. You
Yeah.
get evicted and whatever else. And, if you live in an apartment, the same concept is true. If you don't pay your rent, they're going to evict you in like 5 to 10 days. You're out of there. So that's why it's important that you don't have a whole month to figure out how to make that extra money. You better have some shit saved up in case your paychecks can't hit. So think about like a business the same way that you think about an individual. That person has to have some savings. So that way, if unexpected expenses, speeding tickets, medical bills come up, they can afford that. The same thing goes for business, which is why when Steve talks about the NOI being 10%, like that is the savings that is going to make sure that the company's insulated against future risk. So that way they don't have to close overnight, and overnight being obviously like a little bit of an exaggeration. So just to get everyone's
Yeah.
on why this is important if you're not super number savvy like me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm going down hard NOI profitability, like levels of how much extra performance comp and all these things and
Oh, shit.
multiples. I just want you to take one thing away from this. If your business is not profitable, your business isn't going to exist. Very clearly, you need to generate more revenue than you spend to continue to run your business.
Mhm.
If you have a very low profit based business, like let's say 5 or 10% ongoing, you're kind of like you're working really hard probably for not much money. It might have actually been better to go be an employee. You want to start thinking about profitabilities at like
Mhm.
15, 20, even 30 plus percent. And now it's like, all right, cool. It makes sense to be in business. Now, oh, I'm in growth time and I'm reinvesting in marketing. Like, sure, you might be lower for periods of time. You have to deal with some type of roadblock or some types of bumps in the road. It might be lower, but overarching, you shouldn't be hanging at 5 to 10%. And I want the point to land. If your business isn't making money, you don't have a business. Like, what are you doing? And if you don't functionally understand that simple mechanism, there's a problem there. And you're
Mhm.
not going to stay safe in your business. It's not going to continue to afford you the opportunities you think that it's going to or you want to. Whatever the dream is, you need to be profitable. You need to spend less money than you're actually generating in revenue. Like, I know I'm saying it and it sounds like, well, no, duh, Steve. There's so many people that don't operate knowing that. Like we have another client who doesn't even understand what profitability in his business like looks like. And it's like, how are we making decisions when we just don't even know? Like it's hard. And listen, it's so easy to figure out your 5, 10, $15,000 a month and like what you got going on there. You're doing $1 million in revenue a year or more. You got to have decent books so you can make some decisions off of it. So just know your numbers. Just know your numbers.
Been a couple people that we knew that somehow they still operate and they're taking out payday loans every other damn day.
They do, but then they're always stressed and they have no idea what's going on. It's like I need more money and I need more like that's how that is the key to entrepreneurial lead syndrome, like kicking in of like I need more leads. No, bitch, you just need to stop losing your leads.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I always like to use the analogy of how long can you tread water before you start to drown? If you're making money and then you're spending all that money, how are you supposed to make more money? You can't reinvest it. You can't, hire more people. Like it gets real tough real quick. And so at a certain point, this is where we know this happens with most businesses. The owners will start to say, like, is this worth it? That conversation will happen 100% of the time, guaranteed. Of, is this worth it? Do I want to keep doing this? What do I want to do? Do I want to grow this? Do I want to leave and just go take myself and, go be an employee for, 100, 120K, 150K, and not have to worry about all the other headache. And so this is why entrepreneurship does take a very specific breed of character. And traditionally speaking, it's not always the smartest people that succeed as entrepreneurs. It's usually the people that are the most resilient and willing to take the time to figure it out, in my experience. So, Steve, I mean, anything to close out as we talk about NOI profitability and a lot of these other
This is going to
constraint-based
be
systems?
completely wild. I just realized why your business name is your business name.
Mine?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It just dawned on me.
I would care to, actually, yeah, I would love to hear why you think that is.
Silver Enterprises.
Ah,
It just I'm looking at, I'm like, yep, just like that.
best
So
conductor in the world, even better than gold.
it's really easy to bury your head in the sand and try to ignore your numbers because you don't want to face it. If there's one really powerful thing you can do, is to really understand your numbers so you can execute a plan against them and see if it's working. Looking at your bank account is not a good measure. It doesn't tell you what you need to know. You could have 50 grand in there,
Mm-hmm.
but 50 grand might be your operating expenses for 1.5 months. And what if you don't get a new client for the
Yeah,
next 6 months, but you have to fulfill on services for the next 5? All
rough.
that stuff matters. More businesses die because they don't get their numbers than anything else, especially coaches. Like, listen, we want to throw barbells over our head and shit like that. We're not technically and traditionally the most savvy number people, but from that perspective, like, go and spend time learning that because it's going to help you and it will pay great dividends.
Looking back on the experiences we've had, I mean, understanding your finances is probably one of the most underrated skills that most people can have. They want to learn how to use some tech, they want to learn how to use AI. And yes, they're helpful tools, but I mean, if you pull out a fucking paintbrush before you put the frame of your house up, we would question the order of operations there a little bit. You got to put the thing together, get your service in line, collect some dollars, figure out what that looks like. But before you make substantive investments, you need to get really clear on what the return on investment is and what the amount of time that you're going to have to go without that cash might actually be. Because you don't want to end up wrapped up in some bad debt that, like a $25,000 coaching program that has no clear ROI.
Well, we appreciate you guys listening to Beyond the Pump today, where we break down the business of fitness and nutrition. Go learn your numbers. Subscribe to this podcast, please. Throw us a comment on what you want us to talk about and like the episode. We greatly appreciate it.
Until next time. Pew pew. Peace.